This will be my second SideShow. I paint abstracts that are just kind of big and colorful and swirly and big and colorful and swirly, real gestural. My mom is a watercolor painter. I think I got the gene from her. I spent a lot of years trying to teach myself to draw and be a good draftsman, and it was frustrating. I just didn't enjoy it. It was kind of like golf. I figured out exactly how much golf I would have to play to be a passable golfer, and the answer was way too much. So I kind of developed a style that I just really liked that was that kind of reminded me of the stuff that is my favorite kind of art to look at in a museum anyway, which is those old abstract expressionists from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and Pollock and Motherwell and Still and Hans Hofmann and Joan Mitchell and those guys. And that's always been my favorite stuff to look at. And when I look at it, I try and figure out how they did it, how they got the paint to do exactly what it does, and how they got certain color combinations and stuff. And that's what I started trying to imitate and turn into my own thing. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun to paint this way. And it tends, also too, I don't have a lot of time to paint. I work at the Daily News, and I do a lot of stuff, and I don't have a lot of time. So I came upon a style of painting that allows me to do it in bursts. I can make a few different pictures in an hour because it's just a really quick style, and it's mostly thinking about it than doing it that takes the time with this, which we'll make one and you'll see.
Okay.
For the SideShow this year, I'm not showing my own work so much as I am. I'm going to put up a canvas in the little room off the main gallery. I'm going to hang it up, and I'm going to have a bunch of paint out, and I'm going to have brushes and probably some paint sticks and maybe a couple trowels like I paint with, and I'm going to have a sign that says "Leave one mark." And the idea will be to kind of see if we can come up with some community abstracts that the participants in the SideShow paint. And I'll probably go in and do a few dabs myself, but I like the idea of letting everybody else see how much fun this is. When people ask me about the painting, they're kind of like, well, how do you do that? How do you make it? How do you do that? It's simple to me, but it's hard to explain that you just do it. And so I want people to see that. So it's kind of an installation piece that I have no idea what we'll get. It may be awful or it may be really good. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. So the entire city of Dayton can come to the SideShow and become abstract painters. So that's the idea. Usually I paint in acrylic. I buy inexpensive acrylic, honestly, and I usually mix it right out of the tube or right out of the bottle. I usually work on bare, unprimed canvas. I sometimes will put some gesso down if I feel like it. I often put down a base coat to paint on top of. This is for a friend, Lisa Grigsby, who wanted a red painting, and I said, I can give you red. We're going to move this out of the way because it's we'll get paint on it. Here's one I did for a friend who let me get under the light. I did this for a friend who honestly wanted an orange painting to go with her new kitchen, and she said, "Can you do orange?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just watch." And so now but here's the fun thing is, like I painted it this way, but I don't know if the finished painting is this one, or this one, or this one, because honestly, it can become a different picture once you're done with it. I think it's this way. Often I'll get my wife, who's not an artist, to help me decide which end is up, and she has a pretty good eye for helping me decide once the image is done and dry, which is the proper flow for it. And I think it's that. I kind of like how it goes like this.
Yes.
I really like this color combination of purple, white, and orange with a little yellow and brown. And this has turned out to be my favorite color. It's It's the color that I find myself using most often. It's called deep yellow, and I never thought I liked yellow or orange that much, and since I've been doing this, I use this more often than anything else. So, and I usually paint with music. We got Bach's Brandenburg Concertos going on right now. So, last night it was Dr. Dre. So. And this one is going to be for my son. I painted over an image I didn't like. The nice part about doing things this way is if I had the hardest part is knowing when to quit, and if I overpaint it or I mess the image up, it becomes very soupy and very cloudy really fast. And I just basically I'll scrape it off and paint over it and then use it to canvas for something else. So my son likes blue a lot, and the blue is what it took to cover up what I had on here. And I asked him, like, well, what do you want? And he said, I want a little bit of white, just a dash of it right there. So that's what I'll do. I don't think I'll do it tonight because I'm not quite sure how I want to do it yet, but I'll probably just take a little bit of white and put it here, and then I'll probably just flick it and give him, and I think it'll look kind of like a comet when I'm done in the night sky, and I think he'll really like that. So that'll be for my son. And I think for tonight, I guess we'll just sort of make something. I tend to, is this mine? That's mine. That's yours.
Sure.
I tend to paint with a garden trowel, which sounds funny, except for the amount of pressure that sometimes I'm putting down on an image. I have a variety of palette knives that I use. Palette knives break. They're very brittle and they're not strong. A garden trowel, it took me a long time to come up with this thing. And I have a couple of trowels that I like. I've got a big one I use for larger canvases. But this thing here, it's a mortar trowel, and it's built to last. You can press with it. It has a nice edge. You can scrape with it.
It's not a garden. It's more of a.
It's like a cement trowel, like
cement
a mortar trowel.
Yeah,
I said garden. You're right.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple of these, and they do get kind of glopped up. I've got a new one that hasn't. Maybe we'll use the new one tonight, and it's fun because you can really actually kind of push the paint around with it, and it's nice and sharp. And then sometimes I will use a bamboo pen. And you just get these at the art store. A bamboo pen to kind of scratch into the paint a little bit. Sometimes, like on this one, sometimes I'll put pastel or crayon down underneath and let those colors come out. But I haven't been doing that very much lately because I get sick of it. So that's kind of it. Want to make something?
I'll let you. I'll tape it.
Okay.
Well,
Let's do this.
not one for me, but you want to do a Steelers, black and gold?
Oh, we could do that. I like black. Yeah, okay. There's black. Yeah, black and yellow. Black and yellow are good. There's a lot of the stuff that I like here. I like some yellow. Put a dab of red in there. A little dab of red and blue. And mix up some white into it. All right. Usually what I do is I pretty much lay down some dabs of color and just let the trowel do the rest. So white usually only shows up after you have when you mix it with something else. It's not open. And you gotta be careful with black because what I think we're going to do with black is...
Can I?
Yes.
Will this paint your way?
No, but I might get paint on it.
That's all right. It's waterproof.
You sure?
I'd take it underwater.
I mean, we're recording. There you go. I mean, kind of as simple as that. Like, if I can get some energy to putting the paint on the canvas, which is fun. This one has some water in it, so this one is going to be. Now you kind of already got something started here, because if you're gonna, I kind of like that already actually. See, when I do that now, that's a totally different image right there.
Exactly.
See,
Uh-huh.
and
If you do that way in the middle of doing something, you might turn it around.
yeah, oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. And I kind of like the idea maybe of mixing up a couple different kinds of yellows. So let's. And this is a nice bright yellow right here. It's kind of like a lemony, fluorescent yellow. And now see, now here's actually the hard part. Like, I could almost live with this, just the way it is, kind of, and I kind of would be almost happy with it. I would need to figure out where the red and blue go, but I kind of want to stir it up in the middle a little bit, and every time I do it, it just comes out differently. What's fun is knowing that you end up with something that is only going to be just this thing, you know, and you also can enjoy the fact that if you screw it up, you're going to paint over it anyway. So then you just kind of figure out your angle of attack. Like for this one, I kind of like this here, so I don't want to mess it up. But this is a little too smooth for me, and so I'm probably going to kind of. And that's about close to done. A little flick down to that, and wipe off the fingers. And then it's kind of like, I mean, that's mostly like the image. Then you kind of figure out, because that's got most of what I want. It's got a little bit of drama down here. It's got some to it. It's got a little bit of sweep. I kind of wish, no, I like it there. It's got kind of a hard edge here and the paint pulls around. And then when you pull the paint around, you get all these kind of really interesting little places where the paint twists and turns. And this here, that will flatten out when it dries. Okay, that'll kind of settle down that'll flatten out. This won't. That'll dry looking like that, and that will too. But with acrylic, that blob of paint is too thick, and as it dries, it'll kind of widen out. And so I know that. So I'll leave it.
This area here?
This might settle down. This might broaden out a little bit, but it won't pull too much of the color with it because there's just color sitting on top of it. This will actually change a little bit. So then, so kind of mostly then it would be like, you know, where do you want your, for it to be a true Steelers, it's got to have a little red and blue in it, right? A little bit. Just because they have the stars, they have the red, white, and blue, and in the steel in the U.S. Steel logo, right?
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Sure.
So, not much, because it's just in the helmet and the logo. So, oops, it's not coming out. Wow, is that dried out?
It hurts.
Yeah, it hurt it in there. Ooh, yeah, I like that. Not too much. And then maybe now when you throw that, it'll spin, and it'll make the red and the white will kind of like with a football, yeah, like that.
Oh yeah.
It actually spins. See here?
Oh yeah.
It's like an elliptical. It's like an ellipse.
It curls around.
Yeah, it curls around.
Like a, what do you call it? Peppermint stick.
It does, yeah. And if you want to get paint kind of looping around like that, now I'm tempted to kind of leave that way. I might do that and leave it at that. I'm done. Let's see what we got. Ooh, see, now that's cool because that's an accident, but I like it. I don't want to do too much of it though.
Okay. That's
Actually, a little bit. I want a little bit, yeah. I don't want to do too much though. And that's done. Any more and I'd screw it up. Anything else that I did to this? Anything else that I did to this is going to basically muddy up these colors. And if I put anything else on here, it's going to stir up the black, because the black right now is kind of isolated, and black changes everything. Because especially with lighter colors, well, everything is a lighter color than black. It took me a long time to figure this out because I'm not trained at this. I mean, a little bit of black, it's like putting a drop of blood in a gallon of milk. You know, the whole thing turns pink, and you have to control the black really tight. Also, too, when it dries, white disappears unless it is serving as the basis in the bottom for something else. So this white will be cool. This white will almost disappear. It'll be there. It'll give you texture when you get in close. What I like about these paintings is, if they go well, if they're good, you get a different experience from back here than you do up close, which is true of anything, anything, of course. But like, you can have an impression of like the overall, kind of like like a dance or a burst of color. But then when you go in really close, you can kind of enjoy these little places where you get the little curlicue of the peppermint stick there, maybe. And you can sort of see, you know, places where, well, that's just kind of really neat there, how the black and the white and the blue and the yellow kind of all interplay and they relate to each other. And then if you get like a cool spatter like this, you know, it's just neat, because people like spattered paint. But it doesn't take that long. It mostly is in like the doing. And when people look at this, it's like, you should be able to tell just what my hand did. And you can, because you saw it. So there you go, that's done. That goes to dry some more. I kind of like how that turned out.
Yeah.
You're rather inspiring, Dave. Thanks.
Yeah.
So that goes over here to dry. Okay, now that's going to be a lot of paint for that canvas.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. I'm going to have to figure out what to do with that. I may have made a bad there, but this color is going to look really good with it.
If it comes out.
If it comes out, it's like ketchup sometimes. Okay. We might be almost done. Yeah, this one might not turn out as well as we want.
Or maybe
We're going to do a little bit of black right in the middle. And I think I've got too much paint on here. Let's start with that. Now, I've gotten slower at this. It used to be that when I was doing like this is a year old, and I was just like, ah! And that's why I have all this paint everywhere. And I've kind of gotten more slow
Don't
at
worry
it.
about the camera.
Yeah, okay.
I'm serious.
I don't want to get paint on your camera.
I can wash it off.
Okay, cool. It is acrylic. Although, look, see, this is cool. Now, everything can be an accent. Like, I really like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know how I got that.
I don't know how you got that either.
I know how. It's because there was a bubble there in the bubble pot. So I'm not going to mess with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really cool there. Okay, so I don't want to mess with that middle part. But I can't just leave this way. So, I still got some red on there. This one. So, yeah, I don't want to mess with that. And I like this part here. So I kind of want to, and I like that. That looks like a comma. So I kind of want to mess with the middle. And this feels like kind of this is sort of telling me the shape it wants to be a little bit. So, and it wants to curlicue down here, so that might be it. I think I'm done. Now, if I stop there, I need something here.
Maybe.
But not much. And again, this will flatten out. That will kind of, but I kind of like that. And I like that better. So we kept that. We actually kind of added to that a little bit, because again, it's all an accident. So this here kind of surrounded that by mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I like this here. That's nice action. I like how it goes off the frame. This is pretty here. This looks like the Spanish flag, kind of this all yellow, and that white is going to work good. But I know what it means. Where's my pen? This white will disappear unless I pull some paint into it, like that. So now that white will stand out. And that might be what I need. Yeah, I'm done. I think. Now I've got all this extra paint on this. I got to use this for something, but I think I might be done with that. One problem is my studio does not have very much light, and I need to actually probably put a light up here so that I can, because I usually am painting this time of the evening, and I am going to not mess with that anymore. I think I'm done. And if I've given people the impression that this is exactly as easy as it looks, then okay. Paper, these black canvas things that I've been kind of doing I don't use set shape very often, and I've been kind of coming up with, I bought some black canvas paper just for fun, and I've been using up my extra paint on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have found myself coming up with this idea of doorways, like into the dark, and I have come up with something I actually really like. Like I really like this. Like people who know how I paint would guess that that's me, that it looks like me here, but this is different from what I've been doing lately. And I've come up with kind of a series of what's turned out to be an accidental series of these small little things, and I've got a show coming up at the church my wife goes to in the fall, and I think the room lends itself, I think, will lend itself to a series of these hung side by side along the wall, just a series of kind of call them doorways or something like that. But I like this one a lot. I like this one. I like this one a whole lot.
Yeah.
This one's okay. I think this one looks better with these. And I started doing a couple of these others. And what I'm doing is I get extra paint. I'm just sort of putting it down and then coming back to it later. Oh, here's one I like. This was the first one I did actually. And I was just using up extra paint, and I kind of really like this. I kind of like the whole thing. And if I was going to sell this, I'd sell it for like $25. You know? So, I mean, just
Sure.
so. I think with this, I've got this spare paint, and I don't use brushes very often. One of the things I've been doing with these is I've been brushing stuff on instead. Actually, I'm gonna use this now. And then maybe just some real subtle. This won't be subtle. I'm just trying to use the paint up a little bit. I feel like Bob Ross. Put a happy little deer down. Love that thing. I may be done with that. No, I'm not going to mess with that. I really kind of like that. It doesn't look like me. That's why I like it. But we can make this one look like me. Basically, if we have this kind of dark here, we can kind of... And I may trash these. I may not use them at all. I kind of like how they're turning out at the moment, but I don't know what I'll end up doing with them. But it's fun to kind of have an idea that you develop. So let's just take this paint. And people say, "What? You throw paint?" And I go, "Yes, I throw paint." And that one's done too, I think. Yeah. So.
Voila.
Yeah, I still need to do something with the frame on that. I'm done with that. Yeah, I'm done with that. I think. Like I said, this is kind of just something I'm working on. It may go nowhere. In which case it's on very cheap paper, and I'm done. There you go. That's tonight's painting with Ron. It is a lot of fun. I like to come up here after work. Usually when Juliet Fromholz's show is on, or when Nick Iliopoulos is on WYSO, and I'll come up, or Dave Barber playing jazz on Tuesday nights, and I'll come up and I'll just sort of have a beer, have a glass of wine after dinner. You know, providing I don't have other stuff to do like grading papers or something, and I'll just come up and do this for a couple hours. And our TV room is downstairs, so my wife can hear me stomping around, you know. And sometimes I'll do a little happy dance if it turns out good. So actually, I really like how this one turned out really good.
The other one, the Steelers one.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a keeper.
There we go.
You were an inspiration! Sometimes what I'll do is if I want to try different effects, I'll take it when it's like this and I'll tap it a couple times on the table, and the page just jostles all around. That one might be okay. We're gonna wait and see on that one. I think it's gonna be fine. But it's a nice size.
Mm-hmm.
Now if you turn it around again, that's an
It's a
entirely
whole
different. It's a
different
totally
painting.
different painting. Because you got this weights it, but I like this part better when
Upside.
it's on the bottom than I do up at the top. I think that's the way it goes. So, yeah. There you go.